Well, Mr. President, Rock, I have to tell you, every time I hear a dial tone, I think of Harry. You all think I'm kidding. I'm not. Jill and I are here for Harry, but he wouldn't want us to really be here for just him, as everybody has referenced. Wanda, we're here for you and for the family. Eulogies are for the living. You know, it's a true love story when you're still talking about your first date 60 years later, Gov. Harry never tired of telling the time you two kids had to push start his car, making your way down the road with wide smiles on your face. My recollection is he called it, when he told me the story, one of those, quote, moments that turn a life and that stay with you until the last breath. Landra, what a life you turned together until his last breath. Lana and Rory and Leaf, Josh, Key, all the grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Seeing and hearing you talk about him today, it's clear. My dad used to have an expression. He'd say, you were blood of his blood, bone of his bone. You are the product of Harry and Landra Reid. What a gift. What a gift God gave you. What a gift that was and is. Elder Ballard, President Obama, Vice President Harris, second gentleman, Governor Sisolak, thanks to the passport into the state, and Iris, and Chuck Schumer, and Paul and Nancy Pelosi, members of the Nevada Congressional Delegation, Senator Cortez Mastows and Rosen, and Representatives Horsford and Lee and Titus, members of Congress, Democrat and Republican, past and present, distinguished guests. What a gift Harry Reid was to the state, to this nation, and to so many of us individually. I know he's smiling right now. Only Harry Reid at his send-off would sandwich the speaker between former President of the United States, Carole King, and the Killers. Thanks, Harry. You've always had a great sense of humor. He always had to win, and he always did. He got me again, but he always got me. The first time I met Harry, I got a call asking whether, as I'd just been elected at 29 years old in the United States Senate, I hadn't even turned 32 yet. I was a newly elected senator, and he asked me to campaign for his election for Nevada's Senate seat being vacated by a man I'd only just begun to know, Alan Bible. The first thing when I met him in Nevada, we were talking about where he's from, and he said, well, I used to have to go out and shoot mad dogs. I thought, what in the hell am I doing here? I swear to God, I used to go out and shoot mad dogs. I'm thinking, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. What's going on? Harry lost that general election by less than 600 votes to Paul Laxalt. And he never let me forget thinking that I probably cost him those 600 votes. I'm only kidding about that piece, but I probably did. But when he asked me to come back and campaign for him when he ran for the House in 1982, he won that time. Then he won in 86. And we go on to serve in Congress together for more than 30 years. We worked together with Barack during the 8 years we were in office. And even when Harry was done in the Senate, he was never really done, as all of you from Nevada know. He'd asked me to campaign for an awful lot of Nevada Democrats, many of whom are here today. I could never say no, although you probably said, oh, God, he invited Biden into my district? Well, I talked to him often during this past election, taking his advice, and Londra can tell you, coming to his home on more than one occasion to visit and get his advice, and where I should be going in order to win. After he won, one of the things that Harry did, which was sort of incongruous with Harry, as you've heard today, he sent me a text. I've saved it. He said, I'm so proud, Joe, you're my brother. We won. Well, it made a big deal to me. It was a big deal to me that he felt that way. You know, Harry never wrote what he didn't believe. He made me feel good. And he gave me a sense of confidence. I felt like he was my brother. I counted on him. And I know so many of you felt that same way about Harry as well throughout his career and your relationship with him. Over 5 decades, we became genuine friends. The Irish Catholic kid from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and the Latter-day Saint from Searchlight. You think I'm kidding. But Harry was like the guys I grew up with back in Scranton and Claymont, Delaware. Harry would always have your back, like the guys I grew up with. Harry had mine, and he knew I had his. Although I sometimes wondered, when I was trying to make an important point to Harry about whether he really did have my back as he hung up. But to tell the truth, every time he would do it, I knew it was the real Harry. It was him. He had all he needed. He didn't want any more or need any more. And we did share some similarities. As Barack said, we have loving families, wives that are smarter and better looking than we were. And Harry and I both like to talk a lot. I'm just testing whether you're asleep yet. But whether you served with Harry for decades or you were new to America just a few days ago, you wanted Harry in your corner, and that's not hyperbole. His toughness was distinctly Nevadan. His story was unmistakably American. His remarkable journey has been told by so many, because it has been traveled by so few. The desert shack he called home, miles of hitchhike to school, a boxing ring where he always got up, family tragedies endured, the cancer he and Londra fought, the halls of power he walked, the state he transformed, the country he shaped. He was proof that there's nothing ordinary about America. That ordinary Americans can do anything given half a chance. We, the people, are pretty damn extraordinary. America's an idea that anybody, given a shot, can reach their potential. Harry was extraordinary, though. He and I grew up on different sides of the country. We came from the same place where certain values ran deep. First, loyalty, faith, resolve, service, your word. It was pounded into my head from the time I was a child. Joe, you're a man of your word. Without your word, you're not a man. And he met the marker, what I always believe was the most important thing which you can measure a person by. Their actions and keeping their word. If Harry said he was going to do something, he did it. He didn't do it the modern day rationale is. When I told you I would do that, I didn't realize that this would happen. No matter what happened, he gave you his word. He kept it. You could bank on it. That's how he got so much done for the good of the country for so many decades. That's how we literally saved, we forget it, Social Security during the Bush years. Stop Yucca Mountain from becoming a nuclear waste site, secured the votes for the Affordable Care Act. It's how he helped us rein in Wall Street, the excesses, and repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It's how he created Nevada's first national park and conserved Lake Tahoe. And how he always championed Native Americans and tribal communities. And so much more. None of it was easy. Not a lot of it was particularly popular when he was doing it. The thing about Harry, he never gave up. He never gave up. He never gave up on anybody he cared about. Like every great leader, he led the Democratic caucus just not by speaking, but by listening, by hearing all points of view, finding a common ground. Harry cared so much about his fellow Americans and so little about what anybody thought of him. It was all searchlight, no spotlight. I always appreciate the private comfort, and so does Jill with me tonight, that he offered me and Jill in difficult moments in our lives. We know we're not the only ones. Since his passing, we've all heard those wonderful tributes. The gracious way he would console the grieving, and encourage someone living with a disability. I still have that picture of our buddy Max Baucus. Max losing 3 of his limbs. Harry's standing in front of him in a wheelchair holding his cheeks. You know, Max knew. Max knew. Harry cared about him. The generous way he would empower a new colleague or insist that the new moms and dads on his staff would put their family first, even before their job, and do it always. The genuine friendships he made with the Capitol Police have been recognized 3 times because he was one of them. He wore the uniform. To a friend in need, Harry's voice was soft and gentle. In praise of himself, he was stone cold silent. Pursuit of fairness and prosperity, his voice would echo and will echo for generations in this state. Look, let there be no doubt. Harry Reid will be considered one of the greatest Senate Majority Leaders in history. I've served longer than all but 12 United States Senators. Served there for over 36 years. I've had the honor of serving with a few of those names to be on that short list. For Harry, it wasn't about power, it was about the sake of power, about the power to be able to use power to do right by people. That's why you wanted Harry in your corner. And that's what we should remember as a nation today. Harry knew better than most how difficult democracy is, that the idea of America itself is under attack from dark and deepening forces, that we're in a battle for the soul of America. Londa, I remember sitting in a room with Harry when he was supporting me for president, and my explaining to him the reason I decided to run when I had decided I was never going to do that again. I was watching all those neo-Nazis come out of the fields down in Virginia, chanting anti-Semitic Bible, carrying Nazi flags. And he asked me what. I said, we have to restore the soul of America. No one knew it better than Harry. Protecting democracy requires vigilant stewardship. But Harry's life shows that for all, from our darkest days, we can find light and find hope. Just look at his life. It's just about every respect. Harry Reid came into this world with the odds against him. He believed life, and he lived it. And he left it, believing anything was possible. He's demonstrated that anything is possible. Look at this incredible family. Harry, in a small way, reminds me of my dad. My dad used to say, Joey, never explain and never complain. Remember one day we were having an event when I was running for my, I guess it was 5th term. We're at my house. I was feeling a little sorry for myself talking about a family loss of a daughter. And my dad said, I'll be back in a minute. He left the house. We were waiting for people to show up. Went up to the local Hallmark store and came back with a cartoon. There was an old brass plaque with 2 sections to it. There were 2 clips from the cartoon character, Hagar the Horrible. And in one, Hagar the Viking on a ship had been moving along near the rocks. Lightning comes out of the sky, chars the horns of his helmet, breaks the mast of his ship, and he's looking up at God, and he's going, God, why me? And the next frame is a picture of Hagar and the ship and a voice coming down from heaven saying, why not? That was my dad. What makes you so special these things wouldn't happen to you? Why not? Stand up. Get up. Never bow, never bend, never yield. That was Harry. Never complain. That's what I admired so much about him. Above Harry's desk, as we all know, in the Senate office, was a giant portrait of Mark Twain. They both, Harry and Mark Twain, loved Nevada. And they both knew how to say things we know to be true about ourselves and about our country. For Harry, it was this, as he said himself. He said, quote, I grew up around people of strong values, even if they rarely talked about them. Went on to say they loved their country, worshiped God, never shunned hard work, and never asked for special favors. That's Harry. That's America. Here's someone Mark Twain himself would have written about as a defining character in the American story had he known Harry. To his staff, known as Team Reid, he lost an incredibly genuine role model. But we see you carrying on HMR's legacy. The people of Nevada, you lost a beloved son. But his spirit's always going to burn as bright as the desert sun. To a nation, we lost a giant of America. A plain-spoken, honorable, decent, brave, unyielding man. May this be his legacy. Call on each of us to be our best, to speak truth from the heart, to take up the remaining rounds of Harry Reid's good fight for the America we all love. What a gift. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. What a gift. What a life of a nation that he turned until his last breath. Landra, God bless you. God bless the entire family. May God bless my friend Harry, a great American. May God protect our troops.